All right, now shifting tracks to another big story of the day. The use of Israeli NSO group spyware Pegasus software was not established in the 29 mobile phones examined by the technical committee. Now, while taking into note a report of committee, the Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice NV Ramana said that as per the report, the malware was found in 5 phones, but there's absolutely no conclusive proof of the Pegasus spyware. The report also stated that the center did not cooperate throughout the probe. Now, the Supreme Court, remember, has scrutinized a report submitted by a technical body it set up on the alleged use of Pegasus spyware to snoop on the phones of the politicians, activists and journalists. All right, and to share more perspective on this big story, I'm being joined by NS Nappinai, senior advocate from the Supreme Court and founder of Cyber Sathi. And in fact, I'm also being joined by Ms. Anushka Jain, associate Policy Counsel. A very, very good evening to both of you, and thank you for your time to Mirror Now. Now, I want to start here by going across to Ms. Nappinai. Ma'am, how do you view this whole observation by the Supreme Court?
Well, from the beginning, the whole Pegasus issue has been tainted with a lot of political overtones also. If you cut through all of that and go to brass tacks, the issue is very simple. One, Pegasus as a spyware, we cannot have two ways about it that something like that cannot be deployed, ought not to be deployed. And if there is a risk that it may be deployed, be it by government or corporate or private bodies, etc., or individuals, then we need specific laws and provisions to restrict or limit that kind of thing. That spyware like Pegasus and the possibilities of the kind of surveillance it can subject us to has already come to light, helps us to also preemptively bring in legal protections. But on the other hand, when you look at the kind of fracas that happened in terms of the kind of accusations that were made against the government and specifically to the usage of the spyware targeting certain people, to a large extent it appears, and right now I'm speaking in the blind, I have not had the opportunity to go through the report, so pardon me for any errors in terms of facts. I'm limiting myself to the legal situation here. Assuming the reports to be right, that there is no evidence of the usage of the Pegasus spyware on any of the phones that have been verified, it vindicates the government stand that this was just a lot of noise without substance. So on that front, I have been consistent in saying that we really should refrain from accusing without substance, accusing without proof, accusing without a due process being followed. It's really important because otherwise it really undermines us as a nation and as a democracy.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your views. I urge you to stay with us. I would also like to go across to Ms. Anushka Jain. Do you think somewhere, you being an expert in this entire area, do you think this is a setback for the fight for privacy? Will this somewhere weaken the resolve of the people who are fighting to upkeep the privacy rights in India?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, and I completely agree with what Ms. Nappinai has said, that it's extremely important that we see the report and then we comment on what is happening. As to how it relates to the fight for right to privacy in India, so yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of the right to privacy judgment by the Supreme Court. So this hearing today does, throw a damper on the celebrations that were there for the 5-year anniversary. However, it also strengthens the resolve of everybody who is working on this issue because, like Ms. Nappinai said, nothing has been confirmed. We don't know what the report says, and as long as the report does not categorically say that there is no Pegasus, there is nothing that we can also conclusively say. It's very important that this report be made public, be made available to the petitioners who are the victims of this spyware. And only then can we comment on it. As to the fight for right to privacy, the fight to right to privacy, for the privacy right has been ongoing for years. It's not just something that's been after these revelations. It's been in the works for more than 5 years, and these situations that arise out of such spyware being used only strengthens the resolve of everybody working on these issues, including civil society organizations like Internet Freedom Foundation, to make sure that we are able to continue fighting for the right to privacy. It is not weaken our resolve.
All right, Ms. Nappinai, coming back to you, do you think somewhere these findings by the technical committee set up by the Supreme Court embolden any government in power, not just the BJP, but any government in power to use spyware against its detractors and justify it in the name of national interest?
The law is very clear on that. You can either follow the law, which is actually codified under Section 69, 69A, and 69B of the Information Technology Act, or if you do it in violation of that, then it is illegal surveillance. And Section 69, 69A, and 69B do not allow for the use of spyware. What it allows for is for the government to take the support of the service providers to either decrypt, monitor, or even monitor traffic data. Therefore, that's the limit. And even for this decryption or monitoring or blocking, etc., there are checks and balances which were built in through the rules framed under these provisions. It was on this basis that when the Supreme Court reviewed 69A, it still upheld it on the ground that there were checks and balances to the possibility of surveillance or blocking or monitoring, etc. And therefore, to go outside of that, to say that spyware can be used is in any event not permissible in law.
All right, Ms. Nappinai, several journalists and activists, and in fact, a lot of opposition leaders in the past have also went on to allege that, the BJP has been snooping on them. Just for the understanding of our viewers who are watching us right now, if you could just tell us that what are the legal options available for people in such cases?
Well, you can either go before the Supreme Court if you're an individual for protection of your rights. And again, I'm saying all this without, I just want to qualify it by saying that allegations and speculation is one thing and reality is another. So my response has nothing to do with the first part of your question. It pertains only to the second part, simplicity in terms of what are the legal remedies if you have been subjected to illegal surveillance, be it by government, a corporate entity, or an individual. And specific to government here, you can, if you're an individual, you can go before the Supreme Court in its writ jurisdiction or before the High Court, which may be the easier one to access for you. You can seek your protections for your privacy and dignity, depending on how and in what manner you're being subject to surveillance. You can ask for preventive and protective measures. And if it is in violation of your rights, if something is already done, you can also file for compensatory remedies. So there are a lot of provisions which are already subsisting whilst we wait for a stronger data protection law to come in. There are already existing provisions intended to protect your privacy and your right against surveillance. It's only in our hands to ensure that we actually exercise these rights.
All right, Ms. Anushka Jain, my another question to you. Also, the individuals who had submitted their phones had actually requested that the report should not be made public, and the court would therefore consider how much of the report to release in the public domain. Do you think somewhere if this report is made public, because, the bench has gone on to say that it will be releasing it on the website, do you think that will again be a violation of the privacy?
First of all, I don't know what confidential information is contained in the report. So I can't comment on what the petitioners or what the people who have submitted their phones have asked to do. However, in any situation, it is possible to redact all confidential information, all information that might cause a security risk, and then make it available. Because it's very important to understand that while this is this is an individual issue wherein individuals have been targeted. It is also an issue which affects each and every citizen of the country. And it's very important for citizens of the country to know where they stand in terms of how safe they are, how safe their devices are, how safe they are when they go on the internet. So it's very important that both these things be weighed. Just because there is private information does not mean that the entire report cannot be made public. You can redact the parts which are confidential and then you can make it available. You can make it available at least to the councils for the petitioners. If you don't want to, give it out to the public. However, the best possible outcome would definitely be to redact the confidential information and make it available for each and every one to read.
All right, my final question to both of you before I let you go. Any tips that you would want to share with our viewers in terms of how can they protect themselves from online snooping? Any preventive measures that can be taken beforehand?
Should I go first?
Yeah, please go ahead.
See, when it comes to spyware like Pegasus, which at this point is spyware in which you don't even have to do anything, it can just attack your phone. So previously, it was one-click attack, wherein you had to click on a link or something. There was a missed WhatsApp call or something like that. Now the spyware has developed to the extent that they can just target you without you doing anything. So in such situations, it's extremely difficult for an individual citizen who also does not have any technical knowledge about the issue to safeguard themselves. However, basic digital hygiene should be maintained, and there are a lot of explainers which talk about how you can maintain your digital hygiene. It's not just one or two things. There's a lot of things that people can follow, which are good security practices. And everybody should try to learn about the security practices and try to follow them as much as they can.
All right. So that was Anushka Jain. Ms. NS Nappinai, your final word on this?
Yes. See, Pegasus is an exception. So we are not really concerned about that when we, as a common man, we are talking about malware getting downloaded. Even in this case, if 5 phones are saying there was malware, there is a clear possibility that even if you click on a link, you could possibly be downloading malware into your system, which will then compromise even your screen grab, right? So the basic hygiene is be careful what you click on. Earlier, it used to be attachments. Initially, it was Word, it was a PDF attachment, then even a Word could carry it. Now you have links, and then it could be websites that you visit. So whatever you're doing, exercise caution and understand that in spite of you exercising caution, you may still end up clicking on the wrong link or the wrong platform, and you may have compromised your devices. Therefore, one aspect is preventive and the second is protective. So have your antivirus softwares installed, use genuine ones, and ensure that you clean your devices regularly. Remember that your mobile phone is also a computer. Often I see that people install antiviruses in their computers, but not on their mobile phones. And the mobile phones are more susceptible to being compromised than even computing devices. So ensure hygiene, not just in terms of being too paranoid. We can't lead paranoid lives, right? So there are chances that we may click on the wrong link, but by assuring that we keep cleaning the devices regularly, checking and verifying. If you see that your phone is getting heated very regularly, it slows down when you're not even using it or trying to just use a simple app or a process there, you know that there is something wrong with the phone. Immediately have it cleaned. So regular checkups, the way we do for our health, is a good advice for devices too.
All right, Ms. NS Nappinai and Anushka Jain, thank you so much for making time and speaking exclusively to Mirror Now.